burgers
Got it.
with the boys. But
Just
we're
two of
missing
the
one.
boys.
Just two of the boys
I
today.
know.
Matthew had to work.
Because, yeah, he had to work. I just don't think he watched Loki. I just really don't think.
That's very possible. That's
don't think he
extremely
did.
possible.
No, he's at work, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. We can still do this.
Right.
Matthew-less.
Right. We've been waiting to talk about Loki for over a week.
Yes.
You know, we dropped our episode last week. I believe we dropped it on Wednesday, the day Loki came out. And I've been itching to do a Loki episode since.
Yes, Ben has been bombarding me with text messages, and I could probably show you all of them. It's a multi-page, like, all these conspiracy theories, and I'm like, buddy, we need to get this out there. So you just have an outlet, and you can just
all of
I'll
those
just
texts
listen.
have been converted to a Microsoft Word document. And
Of course they
it
have.
currently stands at 7 pages worth of notes and theories.
This is what happens when Benjamin has nothing else to do in his free time.
This is extremely true.
He can channel his energy into
Dear
something
Mr.
that's actually
Feige,
working.
please hire me.
Yes.
I have
Sir
ideas.
Kevin.
Sir Kevin. But we're talking about Loki. He's back.
Loki.
Did we ever really think that Tom Hiddleston wasn't going to be back?
No. I think Tom Hiddleston will play Loki till he's 80.
I think
he loves
Tom
it that
Hiddleston
much.
will be the one character in the MCU that is still there from the original Avengers movie. He's going to be the last one standing.
I can see it. 100%. 100%. He's already almost there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he only needs to beat out Hawkeye, which, okay.
Yeah.
And I guess Thor might
Thor
be.
And Hulk.
Yeah, Thor and Hulk would be interesting to see where they go. I'm concerned that this is going to be Hemsworth's last Thor movie, but we'll cross that path when we get there, I guess. But
right.
I don't know. I really enjoyed Loki. There's been like a few people that have been like, it's too slow, whatever. I am not one of those people. I enjoyed the slow burn of it all, and I think that the implications of what happened in the show are going to be long-standing and lead to other things, whereas the other two shows, like WandaVision, probably had some implications, but it was mainly just a story about her. Falcon Winter Soldier had some implications. But this is implications.
This is the first show that is setting us up for the future. And just right now, if you haven't seen the season finale of Loki, or if you haven't even started the series and you don't want it spoiled, this is where you want to stop the episode, because there are spoiler alerts from Loki coming soon.
Yeah, you've had plenty of time to watch the series. It's been a week since. Yeah, I think spoiler alert is your warning. All right, let's get into it. So, Kang
the Conqueror. Or should I say, He Who Remains.
He Who Remains, yeah.
First of all, 2 things from that episode that my first initial reactions while watching it. The first, when they go inside the castle and Miss Minutes shows up and goes, "Hey, y'all!" I screamed. Like in terror. That scared the shit out of me. I love that it's all over TikTok and everywhere. She is. It's terrifying. I also didn't see Miss Minutes as being like this bad guy character. Like
I did.
Wow.
And I saw, because I probably saw a TikTok about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely see that, because they're just like, I don't think she's the main bad, but I think she knows some shit. And I'm like, that would make sense.
I kind of figured she knew who was behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then when they got to the elevator and it opened and Jonathan Majors was standing there, I screamed in joy. That is what I wanted. Leading up to this episode, since episode 5, it was all out there that, okay, this whole castle, we're getting one of 3 things. The first one was Dr. Doom. Like, no, that's not going to be Doom. Like, it's too soon for that. Plus, it doesn't make sense to be out in space. Like, that doesn't make sense. The second one was Jonathan Majors as King the Conqueror. And yes, he was only a variant of him here, but I'll still take it because like it set up everything. And then the third one was another Loki variant, and like that would have been a little repetitive. Like it's like I get it. We have Sylvie as a Loki variant, but I don't want another Loki variant villain. That
Right.
doesn't do anything for me. I don't see
Yeah, I think we got
any story.
the best thing that we could have gotten from that.
Right.
Because I think also, can we just talk? Jonathan Majors like killed it. He was incredible. Just like
his
everything.
performance was amazing.
Yeah, it was on. Like, I mean, it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a word. It was just so compelling. He was so frightening for how small of a time he was on the screen, and you really felt that. And
Right.
It's going to be really exciting to see him in a bunch of other Marvel
Right, because it's already been
projects
confirmed that he is going to be Jonathan Majors. While it maybe not as King the Conqueror, but possibly as other variants will be popping up in future Marvel projects coming soon.
Yep.
And he
Yep.
already is confirmed. If you haven't, like, I'm pretty sure if you know Marvel and you follow everything, that he's already been confirmed to be the villain of Ant-Man and the Wasp, coming, I believe it's February of 2023. So we're a little less than 2 years away from it. A lot can happen between now and then. A lot has already happened in 6 weeks. You
Yep.
know, I feel like we have to address this because it's all over the internet right now in memes. Sylvie is the equivalent of Star-Lord right here from Infinity War. The only thing, though, is Star-Lord caused Endgame to happen, which, great movie, but he caused like all these characters that we love to get dusted.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sylvie killing He Who Remains just set up Marvel for the next 10 plus years probably, which is awesome.
Yeah, they can go like literally anywhere. I mean, like they basically, I don't know if this was a meme or something, but it was like everything's canon now.
Yeah.
Like you could argue, X-Men, that's in there now. And
canon, multiverse.
the old Spider-Man movies.
Multiverse.
Yeah.
Well, that's where it gets interesting because now you can have Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire show up in Spider-Man this December. Like, that can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy. I mean, you had random people that looked like Loki in there. Why couldn't you have a different Spider-Man? It wouldn't, like, I would totally buy it. And I think that was something that has probably been in the thoughts and the works since the Sony and Marvel partnered. I bet that was a thought. It was like, I wonder if we could set off an event that would make these two maybe connect into our universe. And it was probably just like a far thought. They're like, we'll keep that in the back burner. But now,
Loki.
Then at one point in time, they're like, oh, we could do this. We could do this, X, Y, Z, put it all together. And then, boom, multiverse.
How poetic is it that Loki indirectly introduced us to the first Avengers level, like big Avengers level threat, and now he's introducing us to the second one as well.
Yep. After the Infinity War saga, now Loki's about to introduce us to the next one. It's fitting. I didn't even think of that. That's fun.
The Paperweight saga, you mean?
Paperweight saga. Exactly.
Paperweight saga. Yeah. Episode 1, Marvel basically said that the Infinity Stones are useless now.
Yeah.
Well, useless, but like once you take the Infinity Stones out of their timeline or whatever, like they don't do anything, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's not true. Endgame wouldn't have worked, but I mean, nothing works inside the TVA, so.
No.
Maybe
nothing
that's
does,
why.
But yeah. Another, I saw an interesting TikTok, which we'll probably just talk about. A bunch of memes that we saw or TikToks that we saw, and it could be all like TikTok's edited. It could be bullshit, but if it's not bullshit, this one guy went and watched the episode of the season finale of WandaVision and the season finale of Loki at the same time.
Yeah,
and he said something that was kind of interesting. It's the part when Wanda accesses her like final form or whatever, the Scarlet Witch.
Agatha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time in that episode, in the episode of Loki season finale, that's when Jonathan Majors' character, the one who remains, it was like that was when he realized that he hasn't been to this part of time before or
Mm-hmm.
something. And then when he drops the pebble,
Mm-hmm.
that's at the same time when Wanda throws Agatha to the ground and they both hit the ground at the same time. And I don't know if he synced it up
That's
to make it like,
interesting.
oh, it was whatever.
Yeah.
But if that was actually like they plopped on the ground at the same time, what an interesting, intricate detail that would be.
That's actually really creepy.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, so maybe that had something to do with it, even though it wouldn't, you know, make logical sense because they're in different timelines. But it's still interesting to like say, oh, maybe these events were somewhat connected
Mm-hmm.
in a certain way. But yeah, the all these like Marvel theories that are out there, it's just so fascinating that it's it's good to see that, you know, just cinema in general is
Right.
back and people are thriving for media and Marvel is still thriving in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to see because yeah, I wasn't like super worried about it because I know Marvel is Marvel and they've always made good content, but it's like it's almost like where do you go after Endgame? You know, you lose Stark, you lose Cap, and you know, so far
You
they're
have to start over, base almost.
you basically do, but it's like you do have these awesome other characters too,
Mm-hmm.
and it's good to see them get the limelight. And I think all these shows have been just incredible, and Loki's especially. But it's
Yeah.
good to see that Marvel is just killing it so far, which is
Well,
awesome.
even with like to answer to go in part with that question, where do you go from here? What
Hmm.
we have in the Marvel multiverse now is there is no Avengers right now. If you go back and watch the content that we've gotten up till now, you know, the biggest tipping hand was the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Sam says he's back with the Air Force, and
Hmm.
Rhodey appears back in his Air Force threads, which I don't think we've seen since. Oh man, I don't know if he wore him in Iron Man 3. I can't remember, but I know Iron Man 2. And
Yeah, I don't know about
going
three,
back
but
to that, the only official Sokovia Accords sanctioned Avenger that we would have is Rhodey. That's it. In the eyes of the government, he would be the only Avenger that we have right now. Because the only other two that signed it were Stark and Vision. I mean, Natasha did.
yeah,
I believe she signed it. I don't know if Chadwick, Chadwick
yep,
Boseman's T'Challa did. I'm sure he did, but now, I mean, rest in peace,
yeah,
T'Challa. Well,
yeah.
Chadwick Boseman.
I'm
We don't
curious
know
what
what's
they're
going to
gonna
go
do.
on with that character, but
They'll figure something out that'll
right. I do have a
be
theory for that movie. I have it in my notes.
interesting. Interesting.
But yeah, Rhodey being the only sanctioned Avenger, and even Bucky, like, yeah, you could be like, oh, maybe Sam's just working with the Air Force. I mean, they say it in his first therapy session. You're a civilian now. Like the Avengers are no
Oh,
more. There's no Avengers. Kang is coming, so we're gonna get some great team up. And
yeah.
I'm ready to go into conspiracy mode here.
All right. I want you to throw your conspiracy at me,
Okay.
and then I'll either tell you whether it could happen, or if it just absolutely won't happen, or it probably will happen.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you in
All right.
bullet points. This is, I
All
believe
right.
that Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, coming next spring, is gonna be the bread and butter. It's gonna be this is what is going to propel us. Like you can't expect everyone to get Disney Plus and advance the story that way. They kind of did with that with Loki, but you could kind of argue that they didn't. I think this will be the movie where they'll kind of pick up some of that just to catch everybody that doesn't have Disney Plus up, and that's going to be here's where we're going from now. First theory, I mean, obviously Wanda is confirmed to show up. Loki has not been confirmed by Marvel, but I believe Loki's showing up in Wanda. Doctor Strange too. And I also believe that Doctor Strange knows about this quote unquote sacred timeline that we see in Loki, and he knows of Wanda's actions in WandaVision. Because we go
Mm-hmm.
back to Endgame, where the Ancient One is, you know, she's even telling Bruce Banner, like, why you can't just take the time stone out of the timeline, blah, blah, blah. And it even looks like the sacred timeline that we see in, like, the TVA commercials and all that. So I think the
Mm-hmm.
sorcerers know about the sacred timeline. They know about the TVA in some capacity. My first big theory is that they knew about He Who Remains, and how Doctor Strange mentions in Ragnarok that he has this list of beings that he keeps on a watch list. Now, wouldn't you think that this He Who Remains would be at the top of that list?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. I believe that it's a trade-off that they allow him to run this timeline. No, I mean, even though bad things happen on the timeline, it's a trade-off. They allow this one guy to stay in control, and in trade, they get to use the time stone. Because the time stone, realistically, everything you do with the time stone, the TVA should be knocking down your back door and being like, "Let's go, let's go." I mean, come on. The whole
No kidding.
reason Stephen Strange beat Dormammu, that dude's ass should have been in the TVA at the end of that movie. It should.
Yeah,
It should.
probably.
So I believe that the time stone was a bargain that they were able to keep as long as they let him run the timeline. And I'm interested to see in this movie basically what the question of, well, now what? Because is the time stone going to come back? Is the Eye of Agamotto just no more? Like, it's a pretty powerful weapon right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an interesting question to answer.
Very
And I
interesting
also
question.
believe that it's this trade-off is why Doctor Strange tells Tony in Infinity War that they can't just stick it down the drain.
Yes. Yes, I think that does have something to do with it too. I think also when he is exploring the 14,605,000 or something, different outcomes, it's not just ones that they win, it's ones where they win and the sacred timeline is intact.
Right. Which
And
obviously,
that's
if
the
they were
only one.
exactly, so they would have to kind of work with this guy on that level. So I do
Yep.
think that they know of each other, and the whole reason that Loki is going to show up in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is because Doctor Strange is going to find out that, oh shit, the guy running the timeline's dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so fascinating. I will agree with your point of the Doctor Strange will be a big impact on things. I do think that the Spider-Man movie is going to, because that comes out before
Right.
the Doctor Strange. So I think that one is going to have
I think
a
we're going to get teased.
very big impact.
I think we're going to get a little bit of a tease in that movie because I know
Mhm.
Benedict Cumberbatch is supposed to show up in that movie.
Yeah, and I think I hope it's not just a post-credit scene because I would love to. I loved him interacting with Spider-Man even briefly on Infinity War.
I knew there were set pictures of like Ned, Peter, and MJ inside the New York Sanctum. So I'm hoping, like you said, that's not a post credit.
Yes.
That is going to be in the actual movie.
That should be in action. We don't know anything about. We haven't seen the trailer. There's nothing.
No,
So it's
we
like,
know nothing, and the movie comes out in what, 5 months? Less than 5 months.
yeah, it's the July. What is it? July 20th today?
Yeah,
Something like that. Comes
like the
out.
Christmas slot or something, like probably a week before Christmas.
Yeah. So shoot. Yeah, that's 5 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious when they're gonna drop the trailer, and I'm curious as to why they haven't. Because it's like
I
when
think they were waiting for Loki to finish, honestly.
I mean, when did because Endgame came out
In April, right? And then Far From Home
yeah,
came out in July.
yeah, and I swear a trailer didn't drop until after Endgame came out. But
Either
maybe
that,
they
or they just completely made a trailer without even addressing Tony Stark.
that had to, I mean, that had to have been it because they couldn't have said, "Oh, Tony Stark's dead." Like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah. Because
So
then nobody would have went to see Endgame. Everybody would have been pissed.
I think they had a teaser trailer for it, and then the official, like a longer trailer or one with the spoiler in it,
Yeah.
came out after Endgame. I'm curious as to how long they'll wait. I'd say within 2 months we'll have a trailer.
Yeah.
But I could be certain. Like I feel like once, like maybe there's something in Shang-Chi that happens that's like, oh,
coming in September, yeah.
yeah, that's coming in September. I think that's going to have interesting implications to it as well. That's the that's the next thing, right? Because it's what if
What if?
series,
Which I guess they
but
said
that's
Hiddleston even said that that's supposed to impact like the future too, but I don't really see how because that just seems like
hmm,
a hypothetical. I don't know. Maybe there'll be something toward the end of the season like we've seen with all these shows. But I do think that
yeah.
Shang-Chi is going to advance the earthly side of the story. Because WandaVision kind of dipped into the multiverse or like
Mm-hmm.
cosmic bullshit. Falcon and the Winter Soldier focused on advancing the earthly story. You got Loki doing the multiverse. I think Shang-Chi and Hawkeye will probably play on the earthly levels. Because we still have questions with
Yeah.
that to be answered too.
When does Hawkeye come out? Is that November
I don't think it's
or
been confirmed yet.
okay? We don't know.
Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye they're supposed to come out this fall, but they haven't been given official release dates yet.
Okay.
But I would imagine one of them is probably going to end the week before Eternals comes out. Like
Yeah.
we'll have last episode this week, Eternals comes out the next week, and then same thing with Home or No Way Home probably.
Well.
Okay, so that was just one theory for Doctor Strange. Another one,
Yeah.
Sylvie, Mordo, and White Vision will show up in Doctor Strange too.
Ooh. More who they Sylvie who?
Sylvie Mordo. Do you remember the guy that helped train Strange in Doctor Strange 1?
Yes.
And then
Okay.
he
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was the post-credit scene. He showed up at that one guy's place that used the magic to heal his legs, and he took it away. He's like,
Yeah.
"There's too many sorcerers." So I think
Yeah.
Mordo shows up as a villain, and I think we're probably going to see. Oh, that would be so cool to see a Mordo Sylvie team up to fight Doctor Strange, Wanda, and Loki. I think that would be cool. I don't know if it'll happen, but I think it'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Right? And you know what? Honestly, I was sitting on it for a while, and I didn't know if I wanted to bring her back just yet. But once Marvel came out and said, "Oh yeah, Catherine Hahn's going to be coming back as Agatha at some point," I'm like, throw her on this list too. I think she'll be in this movie.
Yeah, I can see it.
Right?
The thing with that is this is supposed to be like a horror movie,
Yeah.
like a straight up. I mean,
I'm
take with
convinced
what you
Nightmare's going
will
to be
with
the villain.
that'd be so fun. I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think you might be right on. I just don't know because it's been a long time since Doctor Strange. I'm curious if they'll bring back Morbus. Is that his name?
Mordo.
Mordo. I'd be curious if they bring him back just
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of things have happened since then. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I think for sure, Wanda was Sylvie confirmed that she's in Doctor Strange or no?
I don't think so, but I
Okay.
believe that she's going to show up in some capacity.
I'm trying to think because Loki has a season 2.
Mm-hmm.
That is confirmed. So
Right.
would they just save her for that in that aspect? So I'm curious because I'm really curious how they're going to bring Loki like it back into the fold into like any of the Marvel movies, right? Like he's in Doctor Strange, that's confirmed.
Yeah.
And then bring him back to his show.
Season 2.
Yeah. So
It is interesting, especially since no one in the TVA knows who he is now.
right.
It's Kang's TVA. It's not the Timekeepers. It's Kang's now.
Yeah. And they have to do it in a way where
It makes sense.
yeah, and like they do this a lot where you don't necessarily have to see certain movies or certain things, but it sure does help, but you really don't have to. So
Right.
I'd be curious what they do with Loki's character in order to bring him into Doctor Strange.
Well, it's like even we
So
were talking about this the other day too. Like, does Loki take place? Like, where is the TVA at in like art in what we know of like the way the movies have progressed? Where is Loki taking place? Is it taking place in 2012, immediately after the events of Avengers, one?
Mm-hmm.
Or when Loki gets to the TVA, is this somewhere in our future? Because I brought up that point in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Why? And going back to the list that Doctor Strange keeps, why wouldn't Wanda Maximoff, or even Thanos for that matter, be mentioned? But he mentions Loki is on the list. Why Loki?
Yeah.
It's
It's
possible that he knew about Loki was gonna break the timeline. Like I
that's
think about
very
that.
possible. Yeah, because I mean, I would think that Thanos is a little more dangerous on the surface than
Right. Because Loki was an Avengers threat in Avengers 1. Doctor Strange has said time and time again that he is only protecting our reality. And I attribute that to our timeline, basically.
Yeah.
So why would he worry about Loki if Loki's an Avengers level threat? I don't know.
Great point. Great point. I mean, that's just, yeah, I don't know.
Right?
It makes you think.
These are
And
things
that's,
that
I
have
think
kept me
that'll,
up at night the last 6 days.
now
I
you're going to
do
keep
not.
me up at night. But yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be answered in Doctor Strange in some capacity.
Right. Are you ready to hear basically my rundown of what I think the movie's going to be now?
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. So this is all based on the theory that the multiverse is officially open, not by Wanda in WandaVision, which we all thought when she was like looking at the Darkhold in the astral plane. It is opened instead, like now that we've talked about this, in Loki when Sylvie kills He Who Remains. I believe it's at that moment that's when Wanda is able to hear her kids. Because now that the multiverse starts branching, I believe that's how she's able to hear her kids. We'll get into that probably. But I believe the plot is going to be based on a quest of trying to bring balance to the timelines, where Strange somehow ends up with Wanda and Loki. And Wanda's actions in her Disney Plus show WandaVision unleashed Nightmare as our main villain. The multiverse opening will allow Wanda to realistically seek out her children, and she will need Strange's help in doing so. It might start off as one of those things where Strange is going to go confront her, being like, you can't mess with the timeline. They might have like a brief skirmish like some of our heroes have done in the past. And I think at the end of that, they'll team up. And then Loki will need saving from the TVA still. Like somehow we have to get Loki into this. Like how is he going to get out of there? And then how is he going to get back, I guess. Or maybe Loki season 2 doesn't start with him there. Maybe they go out and get him. Who knows? Mordo, I think, will come back, and Sylvie could serve as side villains. Again, Nightmare's going to be the main antagonist, but I think Mordo and Sylvie could be side villains. And all this is going to lead to a climax where Strange is unable to balance the multiverse because the trio being him, Loki, and Wanda, that with the death of He Who Remains, we'll get confirmation that King the Conqueror is the new ruler of the timeline, as hinted in at the end of Loki with Kang's statue in the TVA. So I think that's going to be the movie where they find out that there's someone else running the timeline, and we're going to get a hint of Kang. Maybe that'll be the first time they use his name, but I don't know.
Yeah, because right now it's all just assumption that it is Kang, but we don't necessarily know that it is. I just turned on my car. It's really hot in here. Yeah, I do believe that. Man, is it going to be Doctor Strange where we first get an actual name drop of Kang?
Right.
Or will it be earlier, or will it be later?
But if you think about it, it is going to be a year out from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And you look at the movies that are coming out after Doctor Strange, and they're pretty Earth-based. So you can focus on the Earth-based story and maybe get into back to the King sort of late 2022, really early 23 before Ant-Man and the Wasp. Because that'll be where he shows up.
Yep, totally. Yeah, that's pretty interesting theory. I mean, personally, whenever there's theories out there, I just personally go, it might happen. It might not happen. They might do something worse. They might do something better. And we can always look back and go, oh, remember when we thought that stupid thing?
Right.
Yeah. We really believed that Hawkeye was going to be the villain in Endgame. Who would have thought?
Yeah. And we all somehow just convinced ourselves that Mephisto was going to show up in WandaVision.
Yeah, we all bit hook, line, and sinker on that one.
Paul Bettany kind of screwed us all over by teasing, "Oh, I got to work with an actor that I've always wanted to work with. Oh, it's me!" I was so
100%
pissed, dude.
the best troll. That's
I was so
funny.
mad. I was so mad.
Oh.
But that's okay. That's what makes watching the show awesome. Because then you just get new things to think about.
Yep. Yeah, that's why the week to week for Marvel it like works, but it also it's frustrating because they leave it off on cliffhangers on purpose and stuff like that. But it is fun to discuss theories and all that fun stuff because it's like if you're right. Yeah, I've never came up with theories before. I've always been like, "Oh, that would be interesting if that happened." But if you're like right, yeah, your theories are documented. You're gonna watch Strange within the next. What does it come out? February or March?
It's one of those two.
Yeah, so
probably March.
So it's July, August, September, November, December, January. So 7 to 8 months. You'll come back to your notes. We'll come back to your notes, and we're gonna go through every single one of them,
and we're gonna
see.
The ones I got right.
Yep.
That's what we're gonna do, and we'll post it.
Exactly.
We'll see if I'm a genius or not.
Do you have any other ones that are kind of out there that you don't actually believe is true, but you might be like, oh, yeah, I thought of this. It'd be kind of fun.
It's not really Loki based, but it is Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania based.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We already talked about this. I've had this conversation with quite a few people already. Because this is the first movie that it's confirmed Jonathan Majors is showing up as King the Conqueror. I believe that there's gonna be a character death, or there's gonna be a hero death in this movie, because they're gonna have to establish King as a presence like they did with Thanos by killing Heimdall in 2017 Loki now. Or I'm sorry, 2018? That was Infinity War, right? Yeah, 18.
Yes.
2018 Loki, right off the bat. I believe that by looking at the cast, Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne are the title characters. I'm sorry. So they're safe, I believe, because Scott's been around the block. He's really going to be one of the only heroes from Endgame left besides Captain Marvel at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. I mean, depending on what we get with Thor and and the Guardians. Cassie is safe because I still believe they're setting up Young Avengers at some point. Janet Van Dyne is safe just because that would be a total dick move to spend the entire plot of Ant-Man and the Wasp going into the quantum realm, saving Hope's mom and bringing her back, dusting her so we don't even get her in like any of the Avengers movies, only for her to show up at Tony Stark's funeral, and then we kill her off in the very next movie. That seems a little stupid. But tell me that the plot of killing, like Hope just got her mom back only to lose her father.
Yeah.
Who's already been heavily involved in the history of S.H.I.E.L.D., the history of Ant-Man. Tell me that doesn't sound like something that you could see. So I believe that King is going to kill Hank Pym in the next Ant-Man.
Yeah, I can totally see it. And
Michael Douglas is
I would honestly be surprised.
Enough character.
Yep. I'd be surprised if it didn't happen. Honestly, like every single Ant-Man movie, I always think that Hank Pym is gonna die, and then he just doesn't. Like the first one, I'm watching this, I'm like, oh. I watched the trailer. I'm like, oh, Michael Douglas's character's probably gonna die because he's older and he's just gonna, give the throne or whatever to
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Yeah, and just like, oh, he like gets shot. I'm like, oh, this is where he dies, and then he just doesn't. I'm like, oh, all right. I'm pretty sure in the next one he gets injured or like he's about to die. I've only seen the movie once, but I'm pretty sure when he goes into the quantum realm, it's like fear that I'm not gonna make it. I'm like, oh, so this is where he's gonna sacrifice himself so that his wife. No, he can just no, he just doesn't die again.
No, he just gets in the thing.
he just doesn't.
Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm.
I guess so. Third time's the charm, man.
You're gonna die in this movie. Well, not you.
Yeah. we'll take the Vegas odds. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'd be surprised. But
Yeah.
I'm surprised 2 times already. So
And then by killing
yeah,
Hank Pym after Tony Stark is long gone, it opens the door for Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four to step in and be Marvel's new tech genius. Depending
yep,
on if they're going to insert Shuri into that role next year in Wakanda Forever.
yeah. That's also I mean, like the thing with Fantastic Four, and I guess this is just now a general Marvel discussion. I
Yeah.
I'm sure they have a plan
Yep.
to bring them in, right? And that's why they haven't, because they bought the rights to Fox.
Correct. So yeah,
I know
they
they
got
did, but
X-Men and Fantastic Four in that.
yeah, because I'm curious when they bought that. Because they buy it before Endgame, or was that like kind of after? I
I
forgot.
think
It
it was after they finished filming it, but I think they bought it before Endgame.
okay. So then once they bought it, then they knew they needed to come up with a plan. I mean, they already had plans
Yep.
after Endgame. So
Right.
now they're kind of like they bought it, but they already had these plans. So they're like,
Go
okay,
back to the drawing board.
we still have to kind of do this, but we also need to figure out how we can bring them in somehow. Because I don't think they said that they're going to be in phase 4. I thought that they would be in like phase 5 or
I
like
believe
the
they're
end
going
of
to be
phase 4.
phase 5. Yeah, because Fantastic Four,
So
I think, is the final movie of Phase 4. I believe they said.
is it okay? So yeah, like how do you bring in someone that's such a presence, like such a scientist like Reed Richards that hasn't been in the limelight into
How
the
do you just
series? Is
make him
he's
there?
just there? I don't know.
I
And you got to
that's tough. That's honestly, I don't work at Marvel, so it's not my job to figure it out. Thank goodness.
yeah,
But I believe that the Spider-Man and Black Panther approach that they used in Civil War to already be like, these characters have been here. Here they are.
yeah,
Like, we'll touch briefly on what, like, a little bit of their backstory, but we'll save the rest to advance their stories in their solo movies. So I think it's possible that
yeah. I
they
could see
could
that.
show up in a movie before then, and it could be one of those scenarios where Black Panther and Spider-Man: Homecoming came out after Civil War. We could get one of those,
Hmm.
but the problem is we don't have casting for it yet. So I don't like these movies are filming now, unless this is just the best kept secret Marvel has ever had. But I find that
Yeah,
really hard because we see like set pictures from all these movies all the time.
yeah. It's really hard to keep secrets, especially
Right.
you know, the
With the
once
Fantastic
the
Four.
Spider-Verse stuff got out, it's
Yep.
like that's such a terrible like if that stuff is true,
Mm-hmm.
what a terrible secret to get out to the world.
Exactly.
I feel because how awesome would that theater experience have been if you just had no idea that the 2 other Spider-Men were going to be on screen? I think it's still going to be awesome regardless. But I
Yeah.
envy the people that don't read up on things on the internet
That
that
will
would
just
go
see
into
it.
that theater blind
Yeah.
because what I would give for that. But it still could also not happen
Right.
because I mean, it's very possible, but I
Yeah.
just feel like the groundwork on it is too like proven, I
Yeah.
guess,
Well, I
to
do think
not be true.
to tie in a little bit to that, I do think that it'll be confirmed somewhere down the road that the aerospace engineer that Monica Rambeau knows in WandaVision, that is going to be Reed Richards. I believe he's probably working with Sword in some capacity, and that's why he was able to send those military people with that big vehicle. I think Reed
Hmm.
Richards is somewhere working for Sword. It could be maybe there's a Nick Fury connection there. Maybe Fury knows Reed Richards, and we'll get that explanation somewhere. Maybe it'll be in
Yeah,
Secret Invasion. I don't know what they'll do with it. But I think that's what
yeah,
they're going to start with that because it would make sense.
yeah. And they have
And
plenty of projects to bring in
yep,
Fantastic Four.
yep.
Like they have plenty of things out there. It's like, oh, he's gonna show up in this one. Fine.
I think
It's
we're
like when
also going to get
Hawkeye
an
showed up
answer.
in Thor.
Yes, yes. I think we're
Yeah,
also going to get an answer finally very soon to who finally purchased Avengers Tower because we've had that question for since what 2015 or no, I'm sorry,
yeah,
2017 when Homecoming came out. Like we've been asking this question for 4 years now. and Marvel hasn't answered it. I think we got the answer in Loki when they're in the void, because if you look at the the tower's there, and it's got the words Kang written on it. It's like it's the QENG, and like I watched a TikTok or something or read an article where they dove into that backstory, and that's a variant of Kang. So I think the next time we see the old Avengers Tower, it will be in Spider-Man No Way Home, and maybe Peter goes flinging by or webbing slinging by it or whatever, and we see the QENG on the tower now, like similar to the word Stark on it. I think we'll see that.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
it'd be super fascinating.
right.
It's either that or there's 3 options. It's that one, which has backing to it, and then 2 other ones that I just feel like would make sense to me. It would be Fantastic Four. I think Reed Richards maybe. It would be like their lab or whatever, or it's
Osborn, right?
Doom.
Ooh.
Or Doom with Fantastic Four type thing, and then Osborn. Yeah, like Osborn.
I think Norman Osborn will show up, and I think he'll get introduced in No Way Home.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
He's too big of not just a Spider-Man character, but an Avengers character as well, to not show up at all.
Yeah, I agree. And especially when, like, you don't – it's what sucks is we don't know what's going to happen with Tom Holland's Spider-Man after this one.
Right.
Because I think even he said he doesn't know.
Too much here. Because I think they wrapped filming, and then, like, everyone was like – they said it was, like, bittersweet because they didn't know if they would be doing another one or not.
They fucking Sony. How much is Sony? Can Disney buy Sony?
Please?
Like, I don't know. Like, it's just so annoying when they're just like, yeah, we want to make our own. Like, yeah, that hasn't worked out in the past.
Right.
Just keep it with Marvel. I don't know. I do like Into the Spider-Verse, but it's like, why can't you have the best of both worlds? You can make your own. I give it crap about what you do over here, but just let us use it and we'll give you some money for it.
Right. And that's what it's been. That's exactly what it's been by throwing Tom Holland's Spider-Man into Marvel's projects. It's been nothing but money.
Just change his name to Pete, and then, like, don't ever say Peter
Spider
Parker.
Monkey.
Just say, and then he's the Spider Monkey or whatever.
Or what
the
all black suit from Far From Home, right? Whatever. I can't remember what that was. That's gonna bug me the rest of the day now.
Crap. But anyways,
what?
I'm excited for what Marvel's got to come for, like, all of us. It's gonna be pretty epic.
It's gonna be very epic. We've got a lot of content coming up the rest of this year. We've got What If, we have Shang-Chi, we have Hawkeye, we have Ms. Marvel, we have the Eternals, and we have Spider-Man No Way Home. That's 6 Marvel projects coming to us for the rest of this year. It's going to be great. We will be doing, just before we end this episode, we will be doing a Black Widow episode at some point in the future. I haven't gotten around to going to see it yet. I want to see it on the big screen. I don't want to rent it on Disney Plus. And it's just trying to find the time to get to the theater to do it.
Yeah.
So we will be doing a Black Widow episode at some point.
It's solid. There's a lot of fun things that happen. I have a woman crush on, I forgot her name, the other girl that's in the movie. Yeah.
Florence Pugh. Yep.
She's
I didn't know that she was in that one, like, weird horror movie, Midsummer, and I hated that movie. I hated that movie so bad. I watched it. I said, "Who the hell recommended this?" I did not like it. I just did not. I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to dump all over that episode, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
Not even episode, that movie.
Really
I'm
dumb.
sorry. But then, like, I see her in the Black Widow commercial. I'm like, oh, she's kick ass. And then Leslie goes, "That's the same girl from Midsummer." I'm like, shit. No, don't tell me that. But I am now. I'm pretty sure after I see the movie, I will like Florence Pugh again.
Probably. Yeah, she's great in it. But I won't really get into it. You'll have to see it. Okay. But Anything else you want to talk about?
I think that does it for our Loki episode. We don't have Matt for our QTMBA.
No, we don't.
He's gonna have to do two next week.
He's gonna have to do two. That's
We're
for
gonna have to
damn
do
sure.
2 QTMBAs next week. So we'll have two next week. Other than that, make sure you don't end up at the TVA. Don't do anything that causes a Nexus event. If you haven't seen Loki and you've listened to this whole episode, that's on you. We warned you like 40 minutes ago. Don't listen. But yeah, if you like our theories, you want to hear more of them, let us know. Let us know what there's things that you want us to do episodes on, because we will literally talk about anything.
Oh yeah. Comment your theories too. If you have a theory that you want to like talk about, Ben will more gladly discuss your theories or why you think his theories are wrong or why you think his theories are right.
Yes.
He'll talk your ear off for sure.
I will.
So, yeah.
Until next time, for all time,
just remember, burgers are always better than boys.
Like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the deal. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.